so that people made all sorts of stupid mistakes. It's only now we begin to realize you have ranges of African, you have ranges of other types, but the African has more ranges than any other people. You have Nilotic. I don't want to go into what all these mean because that's anthropology, but they have the Nilotic type, you have the elongated type, you have the type that the Europeans call the true Negro. But the so-called true Negro that the European talks about accounts for less than half of pure-blooded Africans. Okay, then you have the pygmy. The pygmy is an African, but he has yellow skin. Okay, you have the Khoisan or Bushmanoid type, so that you have different types of African depending on the climatic zone in which the African lives. But anyway, you have mutations occurring. The European comes out to the African. He's not inferior to the African because he comes out to the African or because he's later. Those are superficial things. He has the same brain. For example, for a certain time, South Africans try to prove black people have smaller brains until they discover that the Bushman has a bigger brain than anybody else. And that certain European geniuses have small brains. Kant was one of the greatest geniuses of Europe, and he had a smaller brain than anybody else. Then some people try to show that women are inferior to men because they have smaller brains. The size of the brain has nothing to do with its quality. Okay, so that's nonsense. Okay, things like that are absolute nonsense. Human beings are equal. What makes human beings unequal is, for example, they could be forced to believe they're unequal, and then they start acting unequal. Okay, or they could be forced into certain economic disadvantages so that they don't make the fullest use of their capacity, or they could be made to think they're inferior, therefore they behave inferior and they begin to think inferior, okay? But those are passing things. As they become aware of their capacity, that they're equal to all other human beings, changes occur dramatically. Okay.
Let me ask the audience, how many of you have heard before some of the information that Dr. Van Sertima has just mentioned about the origins of mankind? Okay, what do you think about this information? Anybody got a comment? Go ahead.
I want to ask him a question.
Okay. Hold on, let's see if our cameras have got you. Got it? Could you stand up, please? Stand up, please.
His skin color.
Put your microphone up. Okay.
His skin color. How did he survive? He said, the pink people, as albinos. What did you consider yourself?
No. Those are much later. You see, these are crossing. In the world where I come from, there are 6 races, Guyana. Okay, that has nothing to do with types like myself. That's later, where you have intermarriage occurring. Like in my country, you have Indians, you have Chinese, you have Africans, you have Europeans, and they intermarry. So you could have lots of crossings like that. So that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're talking about what man essentially is. Those races could intermarry, and then you could have all sorts of mixtures. Okay, but we're talking about the question about pinkness and blackness has nothing to do with inferiority or superiority. Those are things that originally spring from environmental adjustment. Okay, and you have types like I was telling you about the nilotic and the elongated and so forth that are original types who remain like that. Sometimes they cross and intermarry, and so then you get mixtures. We're not talking about mixtures because that would just confuse the picture.
Okay. Go ahead. Okay.
I have a question that relates to, first, the concept that there was an African Eve, and recently we read about an Adam, and the fact that they are able to trace from a genetic standpoint DNA and show the relationship between the African Adam and the African Eve. I just wanted you to expound on that, to give us some idea of actually what occurred as far as man's evolution in Africa, because you've already said that all people of today, European or otherwise, were African, actually. And I want you to additionally explain to us how it was possible genetically for a mutation to occur to the Africans such that it would cause such a large number of, I imagine you were saying albinos to have existed at a certain time.
Okay, in Africa, the albinism is a disease. Okay, it's some peculiarity that occurs. Okay, but in Europe, it was not a disease, it was an advantage. Okay, because the albino does not survive in Africa long, but the albino would survive in the ice. I'm not just talking about temperate zones like this. Anybody could survive here. I'm talking about an ice age.